Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WrestleRant Radio here today for Thursday, August 27, 2026. I am Graham GSM Matthews, as always being joined by the one, the illustrious, on the road right now, Mr. Marceau. Brother, what's going on?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. I know football season is nearly upon us, and we are excited for that. We've talked quite a bit about that in recent weeks. Someone brought up to me recently, I think it was yesterday actually when I was recording Hashtag, that Shedeur is not starting out at the start of the season. Is that true? No Shedeur updates for right now?
No, there is a Shedeur update. He's starting on the bench. Yeah, it was just announced, I think maybe it was Monday that Deshaun Watson's going to start for the Browns instead of Shedeur. So, yeah, no, I don't know who keeps asking. I don't know if it's Abusika. I don't know. Whoever it is, Shedeur update. He'll be riding the pine to start the season.
Yeah, literally. So Fernando asked the exact same question in the chat just now, joining us bright and early here on a Thursday morning. He said, Buenos dias. And he also said, RJ, did the Browns make the right decision at QB?
I mean, I think the team as a whole is a dumpster fire to begin with, but I mean, I think, like, Watson, well, he had, like, a wicked bad press conference basis, like, calling out the city for, like, booing him and all this other shit. I think, overall, I think he's better than Shedeur. So, I mean, I think, like, if you want to, like, at least put, like, a win now or at least a competitive team, I think you got to put him out there. I mean, I watched the preseason game last week, and Shedeur did not look good. I mean, Watson didn't look great either, but I would trust the veteran over Shedeur.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I'll have to keep an eye out for Shedeur, maybe starting out on the bench. But on that same note, Fernando also asked, similarly, which QB should be on the hot seat to go far in the playoffs, RJ?
On the hot seat to go far? I mean, who, like, needs to – you're saying, like, who needs to go to, like, make a playoff run?
I guess that might be what he's referring to, yeah. If he corrects himself, I'll let you know.
I mean, I would say probably Joe Burrow. I mean, we'll see if he's healthy. I mean – I think he has all the talent, but he's been hurt a lot. Probably on the heat if they don't make the playoffs. Say him. Lamar Jackson, obviously. I feel like he has a lot of pressure always on him. Justin Herbert to maybe actually win a playoff game because they never can do that. So I'll give you those three names.
How was the preseason football last week? I know we were talking about it last week on the show.
Awful.
It was awful?
Unwatchable product. It's so bad.
Why? Just not good?
Because none of the good players play. Like, basically now they do, like, they call them joint practices, basically. So, like, before the game, the other team will come to, like, if the Patriots are playing a home game, the Browns will come in a couple days earlier. They do, like, they call them joint practices. So, basically, it's like they practice against each other. But it's like the actual starters are playing against each other and whatever, so it's like it seems like it's like good reps for like the starters, but then they come to the game and then like none of them play, and it's just like all the guys that are like fringe making the team. So they've kind of watered down the preseason with this. So I'd be interested to see if the league kind of like tries to pivot from that, but that's why the preseason kind of stinks.
Man, that sucks. Well, hopefully the when the actual season kicks off extremely soon, because when is it? When's the first game, on a Monday or a Sunday, or is it Thursday?
9-9.
The 29th?
9-9.
Oh, 9-9. Okay, got you. All right, so we got a few weeks. We'll talk about it more as it gets closer, but Looking forward to that. So preseason was last week, preseason football, literally right after we spoke last week. I mean, this typically happens, as it always does. Maybe a mere hour later, did the news break that Ilja Dragunov left WWE. So now it's a week-old piece of news, but we'll get to that here today. I have some thoughts on that. That whole ESPN WWE fiasco from this past week. Going to talk about that briefly. Pretty big angle that closed Raw on Monday with an NXT tag team debuting alongside Royce Keys, who is back for the first time in a few weeks in SummerSlam, or the night after SummerSlam, or the Monday after SummerSlam, I believe. He's back with a new crew. We'll get into that. We'll close out with all-in predictions at the end here in today's show. So appreciate those joining live. If you are watching live, be sure to like the video, subscribe. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. New, what's going on, brother? I'll go through some of the other comments and questions in just a few moments. Do you want to start off with this? New episodes of WrestleRant Radio, of course, available every single Thursday. Video version right here on YouTube, but the audio version also available at WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, and all major podcast platforms. Want to shout out the channel members per usual: Alexis, Miss Mon Matthews, Dylan DeGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, Daniel, Malcolm, at I'm Quarter on X, DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau himself, whose Papa Marceau's birthday is today, so shout out to Papa Marceau. Find him on the Twitter machine at RJ_Marceau. That's RJ himself, not Papa Marceau, of course. John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube. Richie, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube. Bill Meister and Average Grunt at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. So like I said, be sure to like the video if you are watching live or after the fact. All that sort of stuff is greatly appreciated. Fernando, with a couple of random things here before we get going into the Dragunov news to start. Fernando asked, RJ, have you seen, I already know the answer is probably no to this because I know the answer for me is no. He said, have you seen any of Avery Styles' indie work? You know, AJ Styles' son, he just signed with TNA a few days ago.
I have not. I mean, besides that little GCW controversy or whatever you want to call it, I haven't seen any of his work.
Yeah, no, neither have I. I know TNA just signed him on a whim, which is interesting. Seems a little bit soon. I already talked about that the other day, but I don't know. We'll see how he fares. I mean, obviously, if he has just an ounce of the talent that his dad did or does, then he should be fine, but time will tell. It's definitely, he's definitely not a prospect to be rushed. I'll tell you that much. Asking about Dragunov, which we'll get to in a second. Fernando asking who should win the tournament in WWE, RJ. I would imagine he's referring to the Lucha tournament. So we're getting the finals coming up on Raw this week of this World Heavyweight Title tournament, which is actually, it's been very predictable, obviously, but the wrestling's been great. I thought Dragon Lee and Ray Phoenix had a great match on Monday. And then we're also getting Penta and Ray Phoenix in the finals coming up on Monday with the winner facing Roman Reigns in Mexico for the World Heavyweight title in a few weeks. So it's safe to say Penta's winning this whole thing, right? So obviously your thoughts on that and your expectations for that Roman Reigns Penta match coming up in a few weeks, very likely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I put my whole house on Penta to win this week against Ray Phoenix, so that's how confident I am in him winning. Very predictable, like you said, but I thought like most of the matches are pretty good. I don't care for the Dr. Wagner Jr.'s and some of those other guys, but I thought, like I said, Dragon Lee and Ray Phoenix was really good. Obviously, Penta and Phoenix, I think, would be a really good match. And then, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that they're doing Penta versus Roman. It's obviously there's fucking zero chance he wins. So I guess that's my only one kind of drawback. That's you did this whole tournament just to serve up Roman Penta in Mexico. I mean, it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day, but I don't know, what's the whole point of the tournament when it's there's no fucking chance he wins. So
no.
But I mean, like I said, I think the wrestling's been good. I mean, it's added more wrestling overall to Raw, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess they don't really have to be as creative because it's just the tournament that they just were booking. So I guess that helps them creatively. But overall, I thought it's been a plus for Raw just to get more matches, and we've seen some pretty good ones too. So I expect Penta to win, and Roman will beat him LOL in Mexico, but I think overall it's been pretty well.
No, I agree. I mean, listen, the tournament is predictable. The outcome of the inevitable championship match in Raw in Mexico is inevitable, or that's obvious as well. It's very predictable. But, I mean, like you said, that's been my top takeaway, that it's given Raw some much-needed wrestling. I mean, I think the show has been largely decent to good the last several weeks, especially since SummerSlam. I think it's been definitely trending in the right direction. But they've been, allocating more time for these matches, for the actual in-ring action, which has been nice to see. And if this was AEW, like, I'm not saying there's a different standard there, but they get so much wrestling on their show that it really, to me, it would be like, okay, this is kind of a waste of time. For example, with this whole, they're doing this Continental Challenge Cup thing with the winner facing Moxley, or actually Moxley's in the cup as well. I'll get to that in the All-In predictions later. But they're doing this whole tournament to determine what the Continental Championship match was going to be at All In coming up this weekend. And we now know what the match is, but as other people have said, it would have made more sense as opposed to doing this whole random fucking tournament after just doing the Owen recently to develop an actual story between Moxley and Nigel McGuinness, who is that's what the match is going to be coming up this weekend. So, but in this case, listen, it's predictable, but it has given us some really good wrestling, like you said. And obviously, like, Penta out of nowhere wasn't going to face Roman Reigns for the title. You could have done a fucking 4-way. He could have become number one contender in 1 week as opposed to 3 or 4. But we are getting Rey Fenix and Penta out of it one-on-one for the first time in WWE, and just the first time in general, I think since 2020 when they faced off in AEW. So I'm looking forward to that coming up on Monday night. It was indeed Abu Sika who was asking about the Shedeur stuff, because he just popped in, and he must have missed what we just talked about, because obviously you just referenced and answered the question. But he said, Mr. RJ, what are your thoughts on the Browns going with Watson over Shedeur after they booed Watson? You just mentioned this. And he trashed the Cleveland fans over the weekend. I mean, I know Abu Sika, you missed the beginning of the show, so you could rewind a little bit. But I know you said that was a move that made sense, Mr. Marceau, right?
Yeah, no, I'll give the cliff notes since I already, I don't want to sound like an owl, but I think win now mode, or the better chance to win, I think, is Watson. I mean, he had a higher ceiling at one point. His career since he's been to Cleveland kind of fell off a cliff, and that usually happens when someone goes to Cleveland, so it's not overly surprising.
Yep.
But I think if they want to be somewhat competitive off the start, I think you got to go with Watson over Shedeur.
I know you said the Browns are a mess right now, but didn't they? I mean, it's not like they're completely terrible, right? I mean, they were doing well at one point. I don't know if it was a few years ago. Like, it was within the last few years, I thought.
Yeah, I want to say it was probably close to their. See, now that you bring up the years, and the years start kind of. I think like around COVID, maybe 21, 22, they didn't make the playoffs. They were like close. It was with Baker Mayfield, and then he left. And then ever since then, they've been pretty shit again. So, but then before that year, like, they were also pretty like, they've been pretty shitty my whole life. So, they have been. They're like the Washington Wizards of the
Wizards.
Of the NFL. Them and the Jets. Just end the season.
Just end the season, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, the Jets. I mean, at least the Jets had a couple years in like the late 2000s when they like won the AFC East and they made the playoffs. I'll give them that credit. The Browns have been like historically bad. They've been better now. Them and the Lions as a kid were always like the two worst like poverty franchises. Obviously the Lions have got better. They made the playoffs. They won playoff games. They're one of the better teams now. So I'll kind of take them out of that. But for a while they were in that list. But the Browns, they've been big bad for a long time.
Yeah, no, I know the Lions I remember stinking as well, but I also know I've seen enough from what Grant has told me that the Lions have done a lot better in recent years, and I see them, a lot of their fans are much more, they're much more optimistic now, which is nice to say. But yeah, the Browns, I know of their luck a little bit because of my dad is a massive Browns fan, as is my grandfather. They're big Cleveland fans in general. I think my grandfather's still calling them the Indians. They're the Guardians now, but he's still calling them the Indians.
Hey, it was the Indians to him.
it's the Indians to me, damn it. But yeah, so no, that is funny. Hopefully they can rebound at some point. But I remember the Baker Mayfield days. I know we talked about it at the time, but I remember when he was a big deal years ago. But we're going back probably like 5 years, right? You said like right before COVID, right after COVID.
Yeah, the one really good year they had was right around COVID, I believe, because he was on the Browns. Then he went to, where the fuck did he go after that? He went to like I think he went to the Rams. And he was like a backup. Then he went to the Panthers, and like he was doing nothing. And then he went to the Buccaneers, where he is now. And then he started playing, like actually starting and playing pretty well. And that was after Brady. So I want to say it was like he was on the Browns like 2020, 2021, because I think Brady retired in I
think it's 2021, right? I thought
21 or 22. It was one of those years. And then Baker Mayfield came right in. So it was around that time. But yeah, Like I said, I don't know if they made the playoffs, but they had at least a winning record.
That makes sense. Yeah, as soon as they lost him, that kind of they lost a lot of their star power there in Baker Mayfield, and now he's in the Buccaneers, like you said, just kind of taking the gap that was left behind by Brady retiring. I feel like it might have been 22 actually. Now that you say that, because didn't Brady originally retire because he's like, oh, I need to be home with my wife. Then he's like, I'm not actually retiring. I'm back for one more season. I think that was around 22. I think you're right.
Yeah, and then it was around that time.
Yeah. Daniel had also said Watson is washed, and he said long live Johnny Manziel. Who's Johnny Manziel?
Oh, my God.
Johnny Football?
Johnny Football. You don't know Johnny Football?
Well, that's what Fernando. I'm just stealing that from Fernando in the chat.
Yeah, basically he was like 20. We were in college at the time. It was like 2013, 14. Maybe it was even later than that. My years are so fucked up.
Yeah.
I think it was 2014 or 15. He went to Texas A&M. He was like a running quarterback. He was really good. Clearly, there was like some like partying. Like you could clearly tell he had like some partying issues, whatever. He was like undersized to begin with. Comes out, gets drafted by the Browns. Obviously, shit poverty franchise. And he lasted like maybe a season or two. And then basically came out like he was like going to Vegas. Like they were going to play the Raiders. He like went to Vegas early. And like was out all night drinking and partying, and then like he was like into big drug use, and like now he's so I guess from what I guess he's like kind of got his life back together, but like obviously his football career is over. But he was supposed to be like the next big thing, or like was touted as that because in college he was ridiculous.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar. I didn't know his story until he just told me, but that's interesting.
There's a documentary on Netflix on him.
I was literally about to say, like jokingly, did they make a doc on him like they did with
Yes.
Elway? Because that was a good doc, the one that I watched at your recommendation. So, okay, I'll have to check it out. Is it called Johnny Football or something like that?
I think it's Money Manziel's because he used to do the money sign whenever he threw a touchdown, do like your with their fingers, like doing the money thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Vince, when Vince smelled the money. Yeah, he used to do the money
and the
sign
gift.
every time he did something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. Huh. What could have been, I guess, with Johnny Manziel. And on that same
Like
topic.
he had the mindset in college, the harder he partied the night before, the better he'd play. Like that's because and that's what it was like he was playing so well, he was like, the harder I partied, I figured like I felt like I played better the next day.
And obviously that mindset it did not apply to the NFL when he got.
Yeah, that doesn't apply to the NFL. So.
Once you're in the big leagues, brother, that doesn't exactly work the same as it was when you were in college, but that's crazy. Yeah, no, on that same note, Fernando also asked you if you were a believer of Baker at first.
I honestly hated Baker Mayfield at first, if you want me to be 100% honest with you. He went to Oklahoma, and he was such a fucking cocky prick. I'll never forget, they played Georgia in the Rose Bowl his senior year, and they were up like 21-7, and he like ran to the sideline and gave like a cutthroat with his thing, like acting like the game was over, and then Georgia came back and like double overtime and beat him. And then since then, I've pretty much had a grudge against Baker Mayfield. I think it's fallen off in the last few years. I think he's finally matured. I mean, he was very immature at the time.
Yeah.
But that moment will always stick out to me, and that's like the one thing about Baker Mayfield I just can't stand.
That's crazy. Now, I feel like he seems to be a polarizing figure from what I've seen of him in the last several years, with a lot of people either really liking him or really not liking him.
Yeah, he did a lot of stupid shit at Oklahoma. Like, there was a time that, like, he was, like, grabbing his shit and, like, pointing at the other team, and, like, he did a lot of dumb shit. So,
yeah, just a lot of immature shit.
I kind of chalk that up as immature and, like, whatever. It seems like he's kind of simmered down. Like, I think he still has, like, that, like, he still has, like, that chip on the shoulder. So, like, he is, like, a very, like, I don't know. Like, he's, like, a very rah-rah. Like, I think he fights, like, he has emotions on his sleeve. I feel like that's the best way to describe him now. I think he's matured out of, like, the stupid immaturity shit. But, like, he's someone, like, you'd want to go to war with. I feel like he's very, like, intense. And he's down for the cause. So, yeah, I would say my whole perspective, I'd hated him before. I think I more respect him now. But I that whole Oklahoma thing still sticks in my head.
Sounds like CM Punk a little bit.
That's a good comparison, honestly.
Just in terms of how fucking immature he can be, but he's still really good, and either you love him or you hate him. But no, that's interesting. I didn't know the backstory there with him. Yeah, Richie, what's going on, brother? Thanks for joining. Appreciate seeing you here early on a Thursday morning. I know, Fernando, you were asking about Dragunov, so we'll talk about that now. He was asking about Dragunov matches, which I'll probably end this segment with. But, yeah, it's about a week ago now. We got to rewind about a week for all the latest Wrestling World drama. But it was last Thursday, almost right after we wrapped up recording, that it was reported from PW Insider Dragunov is gone from WWE. Now, I've seen various conflicting reports. Now, I know he's leaving. He's not staying. I know that. Obviously, he's not released either. My confusion only is really with if he's gone now or if he's soon to be gone when his contract expires. I think that's the case with Sheamus. He was not released from his contract, but it was announced that he wasn't resigning in like early July. But I don't think he's been free since then. I think his contract expires in October or something along those lines. With Dragunov, I think he might be free and clear now. So, I mean, it's possible we could see him as soon as maybe even Sunday at All In, which I'll talk about later on. I know he's like on the alumni section of the website now, which isn't always indicative that he's a free agent at this exact moment. It just indicates he's not re-signing, he's not coming back. So, we have not seen him on WWE TV since, I believe, April. Now, he hasn't had a win on TV since maybe March or January. He went on a lengthy losing streak shortly before WrestleMania. Now, to backtrack even more, he did come back to TV less than a year ago. After over a year away, he was injured, I think, with an ACL injury that he suffered in a match with Gunther, of all people, actually, at a live event 2 years ago. Comes back over a year later to a great moment on SmackDown in this incredible match with Sami Zayn over the United States Championship and beating him to win the United States Championship on that show. Came back to a good reaction. He was booked very well for the remainder of the year. Some great matches with Gargano, Ciampa, Fraxium, among other people, before losing the championship, I think, on the final SmackDown of the year to Carmelo Hayes, which was another fucking awesome match. And then coming into 2026, they clearly had no idea what to do with him. Now, he was still a regular on the show, but he was losing to Carmelo Hayes again. He lost various rematches to him. Tama Tonga when they were still kind of building him up, among other people. And it looked like they were going to run back Dragunov and Carmelo at WrestleMania, which would have been great. Instead, they ran it back before Mania. Not even on the Mania or on the SmackDown before Mania, but like weeks before that. And then he disappeared from the show. I think his last match may have been the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is a fucking death knell in this company. If you're in that match, do not pick up your phone when it comes to budget cuts a couple of weeks later. But obviously he wasn't fired. So that was back in April. We have not seen him on the show since. I wasn't sure. People have asked if it was a visa issue or an injury issue. He definitely was not injured. I think it was just a case of creative not really having anything for him, which is the same boat that a lot of people find themselves in. People like Jordan Grace, who has also not been on the show in a few months, on SmackDown specifically. And there were rumors he might be back soon. They could bring him back here, maybe to work with Gunther, who's kind of directionless right now. Nope, it comes out last week that they did offer him a new deal, or they wanted him to stay, whatever the case might be. He just opted not to. He probably saw the writing on the wall. Now, again, he was booked really well less than a year ago, but if they're not finding anything for this guy to do for fucking 4 months, I can't say I blame him for wanting to go. We also reportedly, per PW Insider, maybe Fightful, wanted not maybe more money, but maybe the same amount of money, and they were lowballing him on a deal. Whatever the case might be, he probably realized, fuck this, I could just go elsewhere. Again, if they're not using me for 4 months, they might just end up giving me a new shit deal and then releasing me by next year anyway. So I'll just leave on my own terms, which is pretty much what happened. So surprising to say the least, in the sense that, again, he has not been on the show in a few months, but he was booked really well there for a while, and he was getting good reactions, and it kind of seemed like his trajectory was going upward, where he could be an upper mid-carder on SmackDown upon his return. But ever since that Brock elimination of the Rumble, where he just chopped the fuck out of Brock no-sold it and dumped him, which was one of the dumbest things I saw in that match, it kind of feels like it's been all downhill since then. So your reaction, Mr. Marceau, to Ilja Dragunov departing WWE?
Yeah, of course it happened. Like literally right after we finished recording, I just like happened to be scrolling Twitter. I think I went to lunch after, and then I literally was scrolling Twitter and I saw it. I'm like, of course. Right when we finished recording, this comes out. I was a little bit obviously shocked. I thought he was injured. I mean, I'm not that unplugged, but like I figured like he was on TV, so I'm like, oh, maybe he must be hurt. I haven't seen anything, but like I'm also not like on the Fightfuls and searching all the dirt sheets and being like, where's Ilja Dragunov?
Yeah.
But when it came out that he wasn't, like you said, not like fired, but like once his contract expires, he's not returning. It shocked me a little bit, but then like you said, I feel like the last time I had seen him on TV, he was just like losing a lot, and I feel like ever since he came back with the new tattoo, I just, for some reason, to me, I just never really, I feel like I kind of like lost interest in him. Like you said, when he first came up, he had like the great run and everything, but I just feel like he's one of those people that they don't see at like a top level. And like I said, maybe he kind of figured that out, like obviously with the way he's been being booked, then clearly not being booked for the last 4 months, that maybe they just don't, they're not going to use me. So why would I stay here and get re-signed? And like I said, like, get released in Q4 budget cuts. So I like Dragunov. I feel like I could see in the main roster him probably being shelved at like a certain level. I think he's good, but for them, I just don't see him in like their like big plans.
I don't either. I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, he was going to win a world title. I mean, there was a point where Gunther, when he was world champion, I'm thinking, obviously they could run that back over a world championship, and I stupidly thought maybe he could be a dark horse for the Royal Rumble earlier this year. Obviously, that was a dumb thing to think because he ended up getting chucked by Brock in, I think, a few minutes in hilarious fashion, so that was kind of a joke. But yeah, it's weird to me. Now, I should mention this, that I think this came from either False Finish or Fightful. I forget the source, so I apologize. But the big thing also that was reported in the wake of Dragunov's departure was that WWE did not push him in a certain way, I guess towards the end, because they did not see him as a needle mover. He's not good for analytics. Like, he doesn't have a fucking catchphrase, so he's not selling like 10 shirts, you know what I mean? Or like 10 different designs of shirts. But it's very strange because he was being pushed aggressive. Like, again, it would be one thing when Ricochet left around this time 2 years ago. That made sense to me. He had been there for like 5 years. Under Vince and Triple H, they didn't really do a fucking ton with him. He was just kind of there having cool matches, doing flips and shit. And they could have done more with him, but I understood his reason for leaving. But Dragunov was pushed for a much shorter period of time. But he was pushed much harder than Ricochet ever was. Again, if you go back to SmackDown late last year, he was carrying that show with the matches he was having week to week over that fucking title. Sami Zayn had a great run. Carmelo had a great run. But right in the middle of those two was Ilja Dragunov holding down the fort. And then, I don't know if he pissed in someone's coffee or if he said something the wrong way backstage to the wrong person. Something had to have happened because he literally went from having these amazing matches and being booked really well. It's not like he was booked like shit with the U.S. title, which is, very easy to do. But no, they booked him really well. And then, and I don't know if because the clock changed from, the calendar changed from 2025 to 2026. He just fell off a cliff. It was the weirdest thing. So, and again, we've said this before, so I'll keep this brief. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you can't make people needle movers or analytics movers, whatever the fuck, if you're not promoting them at a certain level. Like, you sometimes make the star. Sometimes the star doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, but if you're not pushing them in a certain way, they'll never be a needle mover unless you push them that way. I mean, I know Jey Uso's a needle mover, merchandise-wise, reaction-wise, but that's such an elite company to be in. Most people are not at that level because they don't get consistent TV time. We've talked about the women at length last week with people like Roxanne. I mean, you fucking called it. You don't need a crystal ball to see when she comes out on Raw this week, she's not going to have an entrance, and she didn't, and she lost. I mean, she was going to lose anyway, but like the lack of entrance thing, it's like, come on, dude. I don't know. I just feel like, oh, he's not a needle mover, so we don't really care to like push him. It's like, okay, dude, but how many people on the actual roster are needle movers? Like, Fernando just said in the chat, how the hell did they see more in Austin Theory than Dragunov? Which isn't a fair thing to say, because Theory, I see the vision with him, no pun intended. We've talked about him before as well. Like, he could be a top guy for them. They've just fucked up the booking with him so many times. But again, it's a good question, though. Like, is Theory really a needle mover currently? I mean, is anyone really on that roster in the lower mid-card a fucking needle mover? I just feel like that's a dumb thing for the company to say, to push out there and be like, well, that's the reason why we're not using him. It's because he's not really doing much for our analytics. That's just kind of a cop-out answer to explain why they aren't doing more with him, if that makes sense. For one of the best wrestlers in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, but like you're saying, like, when they did push him a lot, like when he was getting a heavy push, like once, like, in theory, you get pushed heavily, like, you're going to get fanfare, people are going to get over, like you said. It is probably a cop-out at the end of the day, but, like, if they did look at the analytics and all that stuff, it's like, we're pushing this guy to the moon, and it's just not moving at all. Like, what are we supposed to do? For, like, yes, he's a good wrestler, but, like, as a character overall, like, I think that's what they see. It's like, I don't think he's, like, the most marketable for their style of wrestler. Like I said, it's not like he has a catchphrase. I don't know, it's just, like, I understand, like, using it. I think using it is a cop-out, but like maybe like you said, when he was pushed as U.S. champion, was having great matches, and they're looking at it's like our ratings for him maybe weren't up or down, or he's not moving any merch. Like we're pushing him to the moon as U.S. champion.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's really changing. So if that's not happening, then like why would he keep like I don't know. Like I think them saying it's like a cop out, but I think backstage it could be like maybe he's just not a big mover. But like you said, realistically, based on the booking, it's all based on the booking. I think the talent also has to connect with the crowd. But like if you're booked as a loser, it's going to be tough for people to connect with you anyways.
Yeah.
But he was, like I said, he was pushed pretty hard at one point. And like I said, I've never been the biggest Ilja fan. But I mean, I think like you said, when he was pushed well, I think he had like obviously a good reaction and stuff. But I mean, once you start losing to just constantly, people just kind of give up. That's the thing with like Theory. It's like he's always been a heel, which doesn't help either. But like he was winning, like beat John Cena at WrestleMania, but then it kind of like then he's with Grayson Waller doing dumb stuff. So it's all based on your booking at some point. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's their booking and like their creativity. The problem is with him too. It's not like they had any creative stories. He was just defending a title, no actual story or anything. Like that's the problem. Their creative department just lacks creativity.
I think I lost it. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
That was my end line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. It was like chopped up at the very end there. No, but I heard what you said. No, you're right. I think really everything you said is completely accurate. I think the lack of stories is a factor. He made out of it moving the needle. I mean, again, what does even moving the needle mean? Like selling shirts and shit? Or like he was getting very good crowd reactions. I mean, like quarter hour ratings. I mean, yeah, all that stuff is legitimate. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't matter because it definitely does. I mean, I could see someone like a Trick. They look at him as like a needle mover because he is. I mean, he's really over. He's very popular. I'm sure he moves way more merchandise than Dragunov ever did. And he has a higher ceiling in that company. But I guess my point is, first of all, the creative stuff you're 100% right on. If you're not giving these people stories, then it's just, it's not going to work. But the other thing that comes to mind for me personally is that with someone like Dragunov, how do you not see the value there? Like, okay, they may not be moving, 1,000 shirts or whatever a day on WWE Shop, but like, again, he's one of the best wrestlers, literally not even just a company, but if you even include AEW, any company, he's one of the best wrestlers, period. And I feel like they saw the value in him. They recognize that value because even if you're not pushing him as a world champion, because not everyone's going to be a world champion, he could be very valuable and has been very valuable at the mid-card level. And the SmackDown mid-card, currently it's just Trick Williams and Baron Corbin, which is like, the fuck are we doing? But like Ricky Sands kind of disappeared. They're finally starting to do more with Ray Phoenix, which is good. There was someone else that was on the show. Oh, Carmelo Hayes. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with him. He's there. He's not there. I don't know what's going on there. But the Trick and Baron Corbin stuff is fine. I like Baron Corbin. I like Trick. It's not really working for me. I can't say I give a shit about Little Yachty facing Baron Corbin next weekend. Like, who gives a fuck? I don't know, man. I just feel like the value is there with someone like Dragunov. You use him. He doesn't always have to lose, but like he can work with someone like Trick. I mean, dude, they had a great feud in NXT. He gave Trick Williams probably his best matches he's ever had. Like have Trick work with Ilja. There's no way that Trick does not improve in the ring from working with someone like that. I guess that's more of my point as well.
No, I get your point, but like you said, like the value. But like I feel like Dragunov specific, he falls into like we're going to WWE and we're going to see SmackDown. Like no one's like I need to go see Ilja Dragunov. Like as good as a wrestler is, he's not like. I think that's where they see the value. It's like he's not selling merchandise probably as much as other people. It's not like people are like I need to go here to see him. Like they see that that's like the value. They don't really care that he's the great. Like they don't care if you're a great or good wrestler at the end of the day. They care about you moving numbers and people cheering for you. I mean, Jey Uso is the perfect example of that. I like Jey, but like as a wrestler, he's not the greatest.
No.
But guess what? He's very over the crowd and sells a shit ton of merchandise. So like their value for him is a lot higher than a good wrestler. Like you can be a good wrestler, but if you don't connect or like do stuff that they want you to do, they'll just move on. I mean, but like we say this, I say this every week. I feel like you need plans for these people,
yeah.
And it's just like I said, the creative team. Seeing the Unreal, I feel like they have fucking no idea what they're doing. They don't really have any creative. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a story outside of the Bloodline that was somewhat even creative to begin with.
Mm-hmm. It's very basic booking, yeah.
Yeah, it's all basic booking. There's a tournament that sets up that title shot. There's really no like promos. There's really no like actual story. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna face you next week, and that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, it's just very bare bones stuff. And I mean, there's some stuff that's interesting, but it's very basic. You know, wrestler X feuds with wrestler Y, and they put all their eggs in the bloodline basket, which they've been doing for 6 years now. And, you know, they have some really strong segments, but most of the time it's more of the same. And it's a lot of it feels like faction warfare nowadays, like we saw on Raw this week, which I'll get to in a second. But I don't know, just like, I mean, some stories can be simple, but they could just work. And we see that sometimes on SmackDown and Raw, even now currently. Like the Owens and Punk stuff is very fucking basic as far as like they just hate each other. But I think that's basic pro wrestling that will always work. But what's going on Raw right now? Oh, yeah, it's Roman and LA Knight and Penta. They're kind of trying there. The solo stuff I feel like we kind of seen before, although he is over in this role. They just got to put forth the effort. I mean, with Dragunov specifically, again, if he wants to leave and go where like the best wrestler in AEW, I think he probably will end up there. I mean, people have said, oh, he should go to Japan and rip it up over there. Japan has some great stuff going on right now from what I've understood, in New Japan specifically. But like, as other people have said, they're not offering the same amount of money now that they were 10 years ago when they were at their apex. It's like they're not making real money. If New Japan was offering real money, way more people would go there. But they're not. It really comes down to WWE and AEW. There's TNA as well, but again, TNA, even though they're on AMC, they're dropping talent or dropping like flies over there because they're not getting offered real money. Like Cruz Montana, Mike Santana, whatever you want to say, left for NXT because he knows that's where the money is. Ultimately, like right now in NXT, he's probably not getting paid a fuck ton, but long term, he probably
he's probably
will
getting
be.
more. He's probably getting more than he got paid in TNA.
I'm sure he is. No, I completely agree, and more exposure and just whatever. So no, totally agree. I'm still in disbelief that him, Dragunov, and Gunther were on the same show, and they for a few different times, mind you. I know Dragunov was hurt for about a year there, but I mean, even in the last year, him and Gunther have been on the same show since like Mania, and they never did that match. I mean, Gunther doesn't really have a direction right now. That could have been the perfect feud, even if Dragunov fucking lost, which he probably was. But like those two had some of the best matches in this company's history, at least since the pandemic, since 2020. That one empty arena match in 2020, and then the rematch in 2021 when Dragunov beat Gunther for the NXT UK title in NXT. And those matches were just next level, and they never ran it back for a rubber match. They teased it a time or two, but they never went full throttle with it. And I think, are you surprised by that as I am?
A little bit. I mean, I feel like Gunther was at a higher level, obviously, at that point. So, I mean, I guess you could just feed Ilja to him just to get it, like I said, to kind of like get the rubber match. There's obviously history and just Gunther move on. But like at a booking stance, Gunther was obviously like main event guy, and Ilja was like a borderline mid-carder at that point when he got like after the U.S. title stuff. So, I mean, I think they probably should have done it, but I'm not overly surprised they didn't because I feel like they were two totally different levels. It's not like they both were in the mid-card and they just never did it, or they both were in the main event scene and they just didn't put it together. Like, I feel like Gunther was just always at a higher level.
No, that's true. I would have done it just so, I mean, Gunther kind of needs some important wins. He just beat Nick Aldis, and they don't really have much for him to do right now. That would have been one way to kind of heat him back up again. Same thing with Dragunov. It would have been a great way to bring him back. Obviously, that wasn't the case. And also, it's like, all right, we do this feud with Dragunov. What do they do with him after that? I mean, it goes back to what you just said, like the plans, and they lack that long-term thinking. Unless it's with the bloodline, they're not really thinking long-term. Eric, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Richie had said earlier when the call dropped a little bit on your end, he said, you must have poor reception on the Don Callis family bus. Are you going to the next meeting right now? Is that where you're on your way to, Mr. Marceau?
It was just a really spotty area, a lot of trees.
A lot of trees on your way to London for All In?
Yeah, I'm driving down to New York City, on the plane to All In. We got flying out of New York. I
look forward to seeing you in whose corner is it? Kyle Fletcher's corner, because he's got a title defense.
Yep.
Fellow Don Callis family member, of course. But Richie had also said, props to RJ for always being on the grind. Just hope Roman does not find out. You definitely do not tell Roman, otherwise you're going to lose your spot in the bloodline down the road.
Gotta make all the towns, brother.
Gotta make the towns. We say it all the time. Gotta make the fucking towns. Richie had also said, guys like Ilja and Gargano. I mean, don't even get me started on Gargano. I mean, I don't know the fuck.
I think with Gargano, I don't even know what. I mean, if
it's
I was
over.
him, I would just fucking walked out. I would have walked out already. Like, honestly, the whole laying thing. Honestly, I think it's a stupid thing that he thought was funny. It was like, why can't I do this? It's to the point now. It's just so dumb. It's like, how? Like, that's the thing. Is like, how do you keep that? Like, when's the last time you fucking wrestled?
January, February, maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah, the whole thing is dumb.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like he thought it was a good idea, and they just went with it, and it's really stupid.
It's really bad. I mean, even if he does stand up at some point, it's not worth the end game. I don't even know if that would get a big reaction anyway. People I just don't think care. It's not like entertaining at this point. They've been doing the same thing for 6 months. Complete waste of time and a complete waste of talent. But yeah, he had said they could have easily become mid-card workhorses and won the crowd over eventually, and even get integrated into multi-man matches or multi-man title matches, if anything, like Money in the Bank, Chamber, etc. Yeah, I mean, Gargano kind of seemed like he was headed in that direction when they first re-signed him 4 years ago, and he was in the Chamber match that we were there for in Montreal, a really good Chamber match for the U.S. Championship, and he was doing some shit, and then they just kind of lost their way with him as they have with a lot of other people in the last few years, because, again, not a needle mover, so can't be putting more effort into some of these people. But he said there's plenty of people like those two on the roster, a man or a woman, that can be showcased. They just choose not to. It also comes down to, in my opinion, too, like they just have so many people on their roster, as does AEW too. I mean, some of these people, like if Dragunov goes to AEW, like that would be cool. But it's like, will he just end up on Collision every week? You know what I mean? Like I just feel like there needs to be a third viable company.
The checkbook has to run out of money eventually, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just feel like we're very top heavy right now at the top two promotions. Like if there was more money or, I don't know, backing with the TNAs and the fucking New Japans and stuff like that, I feel like, or maybe the indies get hot again. I mean, there has to be, right? Because all these people can't just keep going back to WWE and AEW.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think eventually, well, who knows? I mean, the problem is there's just too much. I think for the women specifically, I think the men, I think there's probably more wiggle room there. For the women, I just feel like they have so many talented women overall.
Yeah.
That it is like, yeah, like they should be booking X, Y, and Z person better, but like there really isn't a spot to put them is the problem. Like maybe you could argue like Raquel and I mean obviously JC James just won the U.S. title, so obviously they're pushing her, but like and we've gone back to this before. The company doesn't really have any creative storylines, so it's like even like Blake Monroe, she's like attacking people.
Terrible.
They could have easily had her face Tiffany at like this is the thing like. They could have had her easily face Tiffany at SummerSlam. Her first match won the U.S. title, and then we move on. No, now she's still doing this stupid shit. But it's like you could have just easily done that, and then you went for another direction that made no sense anyways. She wasn't going to win the match, and she didn't. She's doing this stuff with Chelsea Green right now, which to me is not like overly interesting. Whatever. But like that's the thing. It's like you could have easily inserted her there, but then it's like, okay, they do that. Then it's like, now what are we going to do with Tiffany? And then like... There's just too many women at this point that are at like a mid to high card level that they just don't really know what to do with them.
Yeah.
But that also goes back to our point that you call these people up. There should be a plan on like this is what we're gonna do and this is how they're gonna be a babyface heel. We're gonna put them in this program. We're gonna do this. Like this is the stuff that they're paid for that they should be planning ahead of time.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, if X person gets hurt, we have Y already like built up or like they're in the process of being built up. We can just pivot and put them in there or like get them in that spot. Nope. They're just like, oh, we're going to call you up. Yep. We don't know what we're going to do with you. You'll win maybe. You'll lose maybe. And then eventually they probably lose enough that people just don't care because why would you care about someone that loses every match?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever. Like for a company that thinks like they think all about like the presentation and like the perception because Triple H is all about that. You see him on these unreels like, oh, you got to make sure the entrance is great and people do it. He's showing him like reenacting people's entrances all the time in that show. But then you want us to care about people who don't get an entrance.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling us how important entrance and perception is, but then you want us to care about people that don't get entrances. It makes no sense.
No, the Roxanne thing is especially puzzling because it's like it just makes no sense.
I called it a mile away. I knew it was going to happen. I mean, I knew for a fact she was going to lose. I mean, obviously she was going to lose. That was a no-brainer. At least give her a fucking entrance. Like she's like you said, even if she loses, which I obviously anticipate she's going to lose. Obviously, Stephanie's like main event. Roxanne's not there yet. But like, give her at least an entrance so people like, I don't know, care a little bit about her. When you join from commercial, she's already in the ring, and like she is doing her entrance, but it's like the fucking wide angle from a mile away. They can barely see who it was. Then she goes on to lose again. I think I sent you the statistic. I think she's like 2-21 in matches this year. That's fucking ridiculous.
That's crazy.
She's won 2 matches? And then guess what's going to happen? She's going to win Money in the Bank, and she's going to cash in, and then she'll win, and they'll be like, why does no one care?
Yeah.
She's a loser. The only thing that might save her is if she cashes in on Liv. There's at least a story there because obviously they're in the same faction. But like, that's the stuff I just don't understand. You call these people up. There should be a set 2 to 3 year plan. Obviously, if they get injured, obviously that can pivot from there. But like, there should be some kind of like plan on what you're going to use them with. Not just like, oh, she's going to be in this group and lose a shit ton. And like, maybe she'll finally win. And then when people don't care about them, we'll be like, why don't they care about them? They're not a needle mover. Oh, let's do like, she should be like, she's in the winning group. Her team, like, Liv's the world champion. Raquel's the Intercontinental champion. Like, they're obviously winning. She just loses all the time. Maybe you think like Liv and Raquel would get on our shit and be like, hey, why do you lose all the time? And like, that could then start like, I don't know, creatively like building up a like eventual turn. Like, hey, if you're going to be in our group, you got to win more. So like, that's like simple. That's me like with a fucking minor communication. Just thinking out loud. Like, that's how you build this up. Be like, Roxanne, like you're the prodigy. All you do is lose. Like something, give me something. Nope. Just loses every week, and they just brush it off like nothing happened.
No, seriously, it's an every week issue with her where she just keeps losing. And again, we've talked about it, the presentation and WWE specifically, it's everything. If I don't even know what your fucking music sounds like, then how do they expect you to care when you go there in person? You hear the music, I'm like, I'm not going to react. I don't know who the fuck this is. And then they're like, well, they're not over, so we're not going to push them. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy with this company at this point specifically, and it's very concerning. On a similar note, Fernando had asked earlier, speaking of the women's division, he had said, RJ, are you concerned? He said considered, but I think he meant concerned. Are you concerned about Io Sky's future booking? Because she has barely been around since SummerSlam.
No, I'm not. Like I said, I think she's probably taking time off. I mean, Triple H, I think, from what we've even heard him say out of his mouth, I think he sees Io at a high level. Obviously, she's been champion a few times. I also just think she's been, like, all over Raw. It was, like, the same with Rhea. Like, they were all over Raw. I think she just recently got married anyway, so maybe she's just taking some time off. They don't really need her right now. Like, imagine she was around. What are they going to do with her? I mean, she's going to be intertwined with the Stephanie and Becky stuff. I mean, she did just lose the Liv, too, so, like, she doesn't really have a title match, and I wouldn't just slot her in the IC title. I feel like that should be for the younger women that are kind of being built up right now. So yeah. I mean, if she comes back and doing nothing, maybe, but I think right now it makes sense. She's kind of done a lot in the last year or two, so I think some good time off is good for her.
Well, I asked because she was on Raw this week. She wasn't on the show, like in the ring or anything, but she was in a backstage segment that did air on the show. She was like with Soul.
I saw that was terrible.
So she didn't really do anything, but I mean, they kind of like Lyra's like, oh, I want a title shot. Soul's like, no. And then she's like, all right, well, give me the next shot. She's like, no. And then they're just making Lyra look like a loser. I mean, we talked about that last week. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. I mean, Io and Lyra, if they actually had any creative, integrity with this stuff, if they had any sort of creativity with booking the women outside of the title picture, Io and Lyra would be a nice feud to kind of keep both of them busy, but I doubt we go in that direction.
I mean, besides a one-off, I don't see it going any further than that.
I don't either, but I don't know. I agree with Noob, though. He said, Roxanne, I'm sorry. I have fucking dyslexia. Noob said, make Roxanne important. Yeah, no, I completely agree with I completely agree with that and with what RJ just said about that whole situation as well. Daniel said, thank God RJ and Grant know sports. Otherwise, my sports comments would fly right over Graham's head. That is exactly true, Daniel. I mean, I got to be brushed up more. That's why I rely on Mr. Marceau and Grant whenever I get a chance to talk to him. He's going to be covering the season when it kicks off on the 9th. I knew it was September 9th that the NFL opened up. I know Mr. Marceau reminded me of that. I already knew that because Grant told me. I just forgot. So I got to work on my sports knowledge for sure. But you talk about ceilings, Mr. Marceau. On Raw this week, we had a pretty interesting closing to the show. We had LA Knight and Solo Sikoa taking on the Usos. Pretty formulaic main event. It was fine. I like what they're doing with Knight and Solo together. I hope Solo doesn't. I'm kind of concerned now. They're going so forward with it, with Knight trusting Solo, that Solo's going to turn on Knight at Money in the Bank and cost him the title. People thought Solo would turn on Roman at Money in the Bank and give Knight the belt. I think it might actually be the other way around, which would be fucking crazily stupid if that was the case. But anyway, so the end of Raw this week, they're having their match. They get laid out by a returning Royce Keys, who I guess hates Knight and Solo now because they didn't save him for 1 week on Raw. I guess that's the explanation. Okay. But with him, he brought 2 new names from NXT. Not a prominent tag team by any means, but they've been there for a few years. Bronco Nima and Lucian Price of the OTM tag team in NXT. So a pretty random pairing because they've never interacted before on WWE television. But I guess the idea is, they're all from the streets. Okay, whatever. So they attacked everybody. I don't know what the character dynamic is supposed to be here. They did get booed. I mean, the Bloodline, they're heels one week, they're baby faces the next. I have no fucking clue what the idea is there. But they did also lay out LA Knight and Solo Sikoa. So your thoughts on the angle itself and where you see this going with Royce Keys and OTM? Are we headed for a 3-way War Games match in November? The fuck are we doing here?
Your guess is better than mine. I mean, creativity, like you said, last time I saw Royce Keys, he was smooching and hugging Solo and LA Knight at SummerSlam. I mean, no bad blood to my knowledge between the two, but hey, here we go. I mean, maybe you could have had it, like you said, maybe you could build the story, like maybe they win, but like there's still some tension. No, they were fucking hugging, kissing 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden he's like turned on them. But like you could have built this up like, like maybe they're just not on the same page and then eventually he turns. But no, we just got this, which whatever. Like I said, I like the OTM guys. I mean, hopefully maybe eventually we get Jada Parker with them. I feel like she fits good with them. And
yeah.
We'll see what happens there. But like, I don't know, it felt just completely random. And then it's like, okay, who's going to join LA Knight and Solo now? Because they just have the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 of them. There's like 1,000 members of the Bloodline. So who knows? But I thought it was like a decent angle, but it's like now we're supposed to just, out of the blue, supposed to expect like Royce Keys to be like a top guy. Like, that's another thing. It's not like he was all over the show before. He wasn't doing anything. He teamed up with LA Knight and Solo. They won that match. Hasn't done anything since. And then now he's like ahead of a faction. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was feuding with the Bloodline, so he did have direction before he took time off, but before they wrote him off for a few weeks. And now he's still feuding with the Bloodline, but he's not aligned with LA Knight and Solo. So, again, I thought it was a good angle because it was something different from what we normally get to close Raw. My biggest concern, I think I mentioned this before, is that I just don't know what the dynamic is supposed to be. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, we always need a clear babyface and a clear heel, excuse me. Sometimes you can't have shades of gray characters. The problem is that everyone in the story, like, Knight is popular, but he's also a complainer. Solo never really fully turned babyface. The fucking Bloodline, they never really turned heel. They're still kind of getting cheered. They don't really like go against the crowd. They kind of embrace the cheers. And then you have Royce Keys and OTM out there getting booed because they did a heelish thing. But if they're feuding with the Bloodline, who were acting like assholes last week, I'm just kind of concerned that because there's no clear-cut character dynamic here, they're not going to get booed and they're not going to get cheered. Long term, they'll just, like, people will not care. And then they'll be like, this group isn't working. Because you gave people no reason to give a shit because they're not really, like, what are they supposed to be? Are we supposed to care about them? Are we supposed to like them, hate them? That's kind of my main concern with the group long term. And I don't know. I could see this being a group that, like, they do for 6 months before they break up and fire OTM or something like that.
No, I know what you're saying. I feel like it's trying to think of a group that's similar to them. But yeah, no, they're going to be pushed as heels. This is probably going to be their one big moment they're going to ever get. They're going to lose every match that means anything. And then, like you said, in 6 months, they'll be like, no one cares about this group. What the fuck? And then they'll get rid of them. But it's like, hey, you got to get those moments in, though, right? They're going to be like, what about the big moment, though? They on Raw, like they beat up on all these guys. Okay, that's good enough. But when they go on, they'll probably, like I said, they're probably going to lose. And then they'll be like, facing fucking Alpha Academy on main event and being like, what's going on? Like, why are they not over? Like, it's the stuff like this that I'm talking about that they always do with these groups. Like, I get putting them in a group and they're like, maybe it's good, but they have to win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They have to win and you have to book them well. They're not established talent enough for them to get over. That's the problem. Like, they think like, these guys will fit well together. They'll have this one big moment. They'll lose every match that matters. And then we're going to bitch and complain when no one cares about them. But, like, at that point, you need to book them well to get to that point.
Yeah.
You have to make them basically bulletproof or, like, made men at that point. So then eventually they can start losing. If you're losing right off the bat, then no one's going to care about them.
Dude, you know what that sounds like, though? And shockingly, this came out of Vince's regime. That sounds like The Shield, where they made them bulletproof. I mean, granted, the talent there was just unreal. I mean, you have 3 top world champions in one group, but I mean, it goes back to what you're saying, though. They were booked strongly for like 6 months to a year, dude. They were racking up wins, beating top stars, and they, I don't know, got over from it. And then they ended up losing more matches. But it was fine because they were already established and they were over and they were all very good. OTM isn't a great team in the ring. They're okay. I think the aura or whatever aura there is with Royce Keys might carry them. But, like, if they're not booked strong, then people will not give a shit, like you said. If they're just on main event, and there's no real tag titles anyway. I mean, there's no real tag team division on Raw specifically, or even really on SmackDown, but definitely on Raw. The fucking Vision have the tag titles. One half of the champions is feuding with Obafemi. The other half was feuding with Otis. We haven't seen Otis in over a month. Now he's making out with Maxine, not really doing anything, facing fucking Joe Hendry and shit. Like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So, definitely a problem.
But, like, I guess, like, a thing, too, is, like, maybe, like you said, if they get to that... The problem is I feel like eventually, like, if they brought them in with Parker, I feel like she would be, like, the star, and, like, the other two guys wouldn't get over. So I guess maybe my hope, which this is a hope, I wouldn't bet the farm on this because it's definitely not going to happen. But in theory, pun intended, if they were bulletproof, like I said, or they got over, or they got to the point, then you can bring her in, because then people like, yeah, obviously she's, like, could be a standout of that group, but at least people would care about the other guys.
Yeah.
I think if you brought her in right now, she'd basically be like Sable to Mark Merrow. Like, people would care about her way more than they care about them. You got to make them the group a thing, then you bring her in. Because, like, it's like with Maxine, with Otis and them, like, people only care about her. They don't care about those two idiots. The problem is you got to make the group first, then bring her in.
You know, it's funny you say that. I think they made that exact mistake in NXT with OTM. Now, I don't give a shit about Scripps or the former Reggie or whatever, but when they debuted OTM, she was immediately with them, and she almost immediately outshined them. And they broke them up soon after because she was already at a higher ceiling than those two guys did, and they went on to do nothing until just recently.
She couldn't even put a fucking headlock on. She was more over than those two guys. And it's like, I think they have
They're good. They're fine.
Like they said, they're nice. They're a decent tag team, but, like, I feel like she also just, like, has the character down, and she just has a better aura than they have combined. Like, she just, I think her character work is, like, probably the best part of her.
Yep.
I think her in-ring's fine, but I think she's a great character, and she plays it off well. And then you put her with two guys that, like, don't have any character. Yeah, she sticks out like a sore thumb at that point. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of hope, though. But.
No, I don't either. I really don't. I mean, if she was to be aligned to them, I love that idea, but, like, they would really just be there to support her and not the other way around. And I'm not saying she has to be there to support them. It should be mutually beneficial, as any group, I think, should be. It shouldn't be just the female getting these guys over or vice versa. But no, I don't have a lot of hope. It was a good angle, but you can't blame us for being skeptical given the current creative state of this company. Last couple things here with the ESPN thing. I'll mention this quickly because there really isn't a lot to this story, but it was reported on Tuesday from Essie's Scoops, a reporter named BJ Bethel, who's been in the news for other stuff. He was like reporting the AEW viewership numbers, even though those aren't public. I know he's not exactly in AEW's nice list either, so it's not like he's pro AEW because I don't think they're very fond of him either. But he had reported for Essie's Scoops this week that ESPN would not be renewing WWE's deal once it expires in a few years for the PLEs, which honestly, like, I could tell you that, and a fucking blind Stevie Wonder could tell you that. I mean, that's definitely what's going to happen. I mean, these viewership numbers, I'm sure, are not great. It's going to end up like the Fox thing, and I'm sure like the Netflix thing will, where they thought WWE was more attractive than it actually is, and they're going to drop them. But to be fair, it's not happening yet. And that report currently, like, they wouldn't make that decision to drop them fucking 4 years early unless there was an out clause. So WWE came out and said that wasn't true. ESPN roasted the website and the guys saying that wasn't true. So just to kind of put that to bed, it's not happening. But it is worth mentioning, I will say this again, as we've said before, they probably will end up getting dropped by ESPN, having to go back to Peacock or do whatever the fuck. Because, I mean, I can't imagine this is going to be a long-term thing with WWE bringing in so many viewers to this ESPN Unlimited app for how much it is. And we talked about at the time how much of a kind of a fucking train wreck this PLE, like where everything is and it's all scattered. Did you have any thoughts on that story from this past week?
It's not surprising. Not surprising at all, honestly. But yeah, I mean, if you want me to be 100% honest, like, what did they expect?
Yeah.
And then by expect, like, what did ESPN expect? They just got out of the deal with the UFC that they were complaining about, that they weren't getting enough viewership. So now they're going to go to WWE. And then now the app that they want you to watch the PLEs on is now $25 more than what it was before because you were watching on Peacock, which is $9.99 a month.
Yep.
Now the ESPN app, if you don't have like the connection through your cable provider, is like $35 a month. Okay, so now you're paying $25 more a month. And like, what do they expect? I guess that's my thing. Is the end of the day, what do they expect? And like you said, I think probably by the end of the deal, they're going to move on, and WWE probably go to like Paramount because obviously UFC's on Paramount now. They'll find another place. They're not going to find it. It's not like they're not going to find another place. But like realistically, like if the WWE being on this ESPN Unlimited app was like their big claim to fame, then they're just idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, because the problem is realistically the app is just ESPN. Like just ESPN. Yeah. It's like obviously the whole family, like ESPN, ESPN News, ESPN2, all the college brands, like all the conference networks that they have. But like at the end of the day, if you just had cable, you'd get all these channels anyways, besides the digital like platform of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't like how they're all over the place. I know that's pretty much every sport now, but it's like, it is kind of a pain in the ass. Like, oh, I want to watch Saturday Night Main Event. I go on ESPN. Oh, it's not there. Or like, I'm on cable. Nope, it's on Peacock only. So you got to flip over here. Like, it is kind of annoying. I mean, I understand how broadcasting and media rights work now. Like, they basically want to go through, like, I think the new thing is, like, if you spread it between different broadcasters, you'll get more money overall because it's more of like an exclusive and you're not tied down for the whole thing. But like every sport's like that. Like the NFL, it's like they're on CBS, they're on fucking Fox, they're on Peacock or NBC, they're on ESPN, they're on Prime, they're on Netflix. It's like, it's just all over the place. And it's just like, it's kind of ridiculous, but like every sport's going in that direction. So like it doesn't overly shock me. It's just kind of annoying.
No, definitely annoying. Got to watch this game on this service. Oh, it's on this channel. Oh, no, it's on this service. I mean, that's like you said with every sport.
Because like another thing too is like, I don't think WWE has done this, but like the NFL will be like, this game's only on Peacock. Like it's not even on NBC. So it's like you need actual Peacock to see it. It's like sometimes they'll be like, oh, it's on NBC and you can stream on Peacock. But there's some games that's only on Peacock. So it's like if you only had cable, then you can't get Peacock. It's a fucking pain in the ass. Luckily, we're young enough that I can figure it out, but like someone like my dad, who's like in his 60s, he has fucking no idea what's going on. So he's like texting, calling me, where's the game? I'm like, it's on Peacock. Oh, it's on, no, you gotta go on Peacock.
Yeah.
You gotta go on this. It's not on NBC anymore. It's on Prime. You gotta go on Prime and watch it. Like, they're trying to say that streaming was going to make this stuff easier, and it makes it 10 times more convoluted.
No, seriously. No, definitely. I mean, I think you said it may not be an issue with WWE. I think it is because Sunday night, the next one's Sunday night's main event, Saturday night main event in general, it was streaming on both, and now it's not. I think it's only on Peacock, so that kind of applies to WWE as well. It's not on NBC anymore.
Good. I have Peacock anyways.
Yeah, no, I got Peacock anyways. And then Richie had also said on that same note, if you want to talk about needle movers, WWE really ain't doing it themselves as the product is not good enough to warrant a jump from $9 or $12 a month to now a new price of $31.99. No, I completely agree. We talked about that at the time. And when they first announced this deal, I'm like, and also the NXT PLEs, they were on the CW, and a Heat Wave is this week, and they were airing on TV, but now they're on like the CW app or I don't know where. Honestly, I don't remember. They announced them.
No, you can find them. You can watch it on the ESPN app because I think ESPN owns the CW.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe they announced that recently. Maybe that's what the announcement
was. Because like recently, it was like a Tuesday night, and I think I was at work trying to watch something on ESPN Unlimited, and like. And literally, like, NXT was on it. I'm like, oh, you can watch NXT on the ESPN app? Okay.
I wish they made that more clear because it's all over the fucking place, like you said. And Richie had also said, I also don't want to hear the lame excuse of how we used to buy pay-per-views monthly or some people who could swing that, or how AEW still technically does pay-per-view because this is a different era entirely. Yeah, no, I mean, the pay-per-views were expensive, like for $50 a month. I mean, the WWE product was also not good enough in the early 2010s to justify people paying $50 for those shows, as you could see from the
buy rates. What do you think it was in the 2000s? I was saying the 2000s, those shows were worth $50 a fucking... Honestly, a lot of things are probably not worth $50, but like...
No.
You also have to look at it now. It's like, okay, it's not probably worth $50, but it's like, when's if I went to the show? I'm spending, if I want a good ticket, I'm spending probably $100, $150. Then I got to get there. Then I got to eat. Like, I feel like that's like the new way of thinking. It's like, yeah, is it worth $50 to pay for it? Probably not. But if I actually went to this event, I'd probably be spending 5 to 6 times of that cost. So honestly, I'm justifying staying at home and watching it.
I agree. Yeah, no, it just also, at least it was, but here's another thing though, we've also talked about this, but with the pay-per-views, at least you're paying $50, whether it's the early 2010s for like fucking bragging rights and shit, or like the 2000s or whatever, at least you had no commercials, dude. I mean, we have so many commercials now with these pay-per-views, we've talked about that before, but at least it's like, all right, you're paying per view, you're paying for the whole show $50, but it's basically like an episode of Raw, but no commercials, and it's a little bit longer. The pay-per-views now, dude, are as long as Raw is, or at least sometimes as long as SmackDown was, because SmackDown was 3 hours, and then you're getting all these fucking commercials in between, so it's not even really worth the $30 that you're paying for it anyway.
No, it's not. I mean, the commercials are kind of out of hand, but that's like in anything now.
No, I know.
Like anything
Yeah.
on TV, the commercials are ridiculous. And I understand. Like, I'm not an idiot. I totally understand why they do the commercials, but it's like with the WWE specifically, it's like every match on a PLE is like sponsored by fucking Xbox. And they got the Xbox all over the billboards, and they're blowing it up your ass. How like Gears of War 7's coming out, and get your copy, and da 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 da. And it's like, okay, so like that should be like, that's what should be paying for. Like, okay, that's a sponsor. They pay for that. So that should be paying for it. But no, like, and then ESPN needs their fucking shit. So then that's why you have the commercials. Then the next match, they have the fucking general and fucking all over the place. Then we have the general for the next match. Then it's Capri Sun or Minute Maid or whatever the fuck. It's just like, they're using that to get their sponsorship to make more money. And then ESPN's like, well, you know, we spent all this money to get the content, so now we need to make that money back. So you need 1,000 fucking commercials. At that point, I'd rather just pay $50 than not deal with all the fucking commercials.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's exactly my point. That was kind of what made that buy rate or that price point worth it, was the fact that you're not paying for all the commercials.
It's like the same shit with the UFC now. It's like, yeah, you're paying $70, $80, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like, at least like, it starts, you get it, you're in, you're out, maybe a commercial to the whole night. Now it's like the WWE, it's like, they start at 9, but it's like 20 minutes in, you're not getting shit, you're getting commercials. Then the fight, and then in between every fight, there's like 17 fucking alcohol, gambling, car commercials, then you get the next fight, then you get another, like, that's more of that shit. It's like,
yeah.
I want to watch the product, like, I don't want to watch 1,000 commercials. So, like, it's like at that point, I'd rather just pay the extra money to not have to deal with the fucking commercials. Because it starts an hour earlier now, and it gets over at the same time.
Yeah.
Because 1,000 commercials they have.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, I know you mentioned the general, but Richie said you had forgotten the mug root beer mascot from SummerSlam as well.
Oh, the fucking big dog? The top dog. Top dog, I think it is.
Yeah, whatever the fuck
like,
it is.
Like I said, the problem is I understand why they
Yeah.
do it, because they want to make money. But at the end of the day, it's not consumer friendly. And I don't know if they're just doing this to like be like, hey, you hate the fucking commercials? Come to the event. But what's happening at these shows during 1,000-minute fucking commercials? You're probably sitting there with your fucking dick in your hand, doing nothing. So, like, at the end of the day, it's not like they're giving you anything special. You're just standing there in the crowd.
Yep. Nope, that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, no, Richie had said the same thing. He said, RJ makes another good point. All of these streaming companies, going back to that, he said all of these streaming companies compete against one another, but then these companies also expect you to have X, Y, and Z to watch their product. It's cable all over again. How many times have we talked about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point now it's as expensive. The problem is their whole point of streaming is to make it cheaper than cable. And at this point, it's as expensive as cable. Because if you don't want commercials, then you got to pay more. And then it's like, I mean, I'm not, obviously I wasn't old enough to have cable back then, but I'm assuming cable probably was between like $150, $200 a month. That was my like general understanding. Okay, if you have every streaming platform, you're probably close to that now.
Yeah.
Netflix is like $20, Peacock's like 10, Paramount's like 10 to 15, HBO is like 20, Prime is like if you have the whole fucking subscription. And then you probably need like a YouTube TV or Fubo or one of those other things to be like your actual cable provider now. Yes, it might be cheaper, but then you add in all this other shit, you're at what you were before.
Yeah, and then it's not convenient either, because at least with cable, at least you're flipping through channels. With all these with all the streaming apps that you just mentioned, ad-free as well, it's definitely close to that price point, but then it's not even convenient. I got to open this one, got to log into this, who has that account, and all this other shit. It's just not fucking, it makes zero sense.
Yeah, and then now they're doing the whole thing. It's like you can't even share it with anyone anymore. So now they have like the zip code verification. It's like, oh, well, you're in this town. You basically have to live in the same town as someone that you're family with, or then they can't watch it because then you need the verification, then you need the code and the push notification. And they act like this is like the fucking archives in the fucking museum. Like they act like these are the fucking Swiss fucking bank account.
Yeah.
You need the code, then you gotta do the push notification. Then you needed the 2-step to make sure you can watch fucking Netflix. Netflix. It's not like you're trying to get in a bank account of $1 billion here.
And then the best is like, because I'll share some of my stuff with like my brothers and other people and stuff. And then it says, oh, are you home? And I said, yes. I'll select yes. And it says, you're not home. We're not giving this to you. I'm like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm using it at home right now. Like, are you traveling? Like, no, I'm using it at home because I'll use it elsewhere. It's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So you can only have it on one device. It's like, oh, what? That makes it not, that's been a thing for a while.
There's times I'm at work and I like try to watch Netflix. They're like, you're not at home. I'm like, no shit, I'm not at home. Well, now like I said, then I got to get the code, then I do the push notification, then the 2-step, I got to do the button thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the account holder. Let me in.
I know, that's the worst part. It's so bad. It's so bad. Well, listen, All In's coming up this weekend on, I think it's just regular pay-per-view. So a lot of their shows are just on, or actually on the My AEW app. I think it might be on there internationally and then regular pay-per-view for everyone else or whatever it is. I'll run through the predictions quick here. You want me to let you go now, Mr. Marceau, or do you want to stick around for the predictions?
I can burn through the predictions quick.
All right, cool. We'll do this quickly. Adam Page and Bro Dito taking on any trio for the AEW World Trios titles. They haven't announced who. Swerve and the New Day are rumored to be in it. Those are my pick to take the titles. What about you?
Yeah, that's what the rumor is. I'll take them. Tony's bank account might be running low by the end of this year with all the signings, but we'll see. I mean, to my knowledge, they haven't actually made a profit yet. I know Shad Khan is a quadrillionaire, but eventually, when's the money run out? I mean, it has to, I mean, I know they're down in Jacksonville. They're going through this big renovation with the stadium. I mean, I just don't understand. And like you said, I like that because people are like, well, they're giving people jobs, which I totally understand. But you can't just be paying all these people. I mean, I'm that big of a businessman, but you can't be spending all this money. And then, like you said, they have other people. Then they're just like, you bring in the New Day. Then it's like, what happens to these other people that you're paying a ton of money? They're just going to go to Collision and do nothing? Like,
yeah.
That's the problem at the end of the day. Like, they're signing so many people, there really isn't anywhere to put them.
No, there's not. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to drop people, not just release them out of their contracts, but you're just going to have to be like, all right, and if people want to leave, like, if you're not using me, let me go. I would let them go. So, no, I totally agree. I would bring in the New Day. I feel like they're a great get, and some other people as well. But then that means you have to cycle out the talent. Like, WWE is kind of hoarding people. AEW is doing the same thing. It goes both ways. But also my pick to win the Trios titles as well. I agree. They're doing another men's casino gauntlet. I thought they were doing the women's. I guess not. The announced people for it are, so far, only Andrade, MJF, Tommaso, and Chris Jericho, and I'm sure a slew of other people. I'm sure Dragunov will be in this. That's also my prediction. I honestly don't know who would win this. MJF won it last year. He's holding the fake belt right now. I don't really need to see him win it again. I'll go with Andrade here because he's got some momentum. But what do you think, Mr. Marceau? Who walks out the number one contender for the world title?
Yeah, I mean, I think Andrade makes the most sense for now. At least the whole MJF fake title thing is so dumb, if you ask me. It makes no fucking sense. He lost! Like, why? It's so stupid.
He did lose it. Yeah, he got pinned.
And the worst part is it's so dumb. He loses, which I thought was stupid to begin with.
Yep.
Then we went to Dynamite, and they literally threw his title away. The Young Bucks, literally took it or threw it away. And then, 3 weeks later, it comes out with the belt again. I'm like, what do you just have a replica whipped up overnight? It's like, I like MJF, but, I don't know. I think, not that I think he should have left, but, I think he probably should have left when his contract came up. I know he's like, oh, I'm all about the money. Like, he wasn't going to get fucking big money from WWE, regardless, whatever. But it's I feel like now it's he's getting the point that it's he's done literally everything. Now they're just, making stuff up just for him to do, And I understand, obviously there's only two big companies, but, it always goes back to, that's why the territories work, because once you did everything in one territory, you just leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah, no.
Now it's we have the same guys that have been there for 10 years, and they've done everything under the sun. It's now what do you do with them?
Well, I mean,
And I feel like MGF's getting in that territory.
No, he definitely is. He is approaching that point. To be fair, though, I think he is leaving, and we've talked about that before. At some point, I'm not saying when his contract expires this next time. He probably could. He's young enough. I mean, he is going to WWE eventually. It could be this next contract. What you're saying, I would apply more to like a Kenny Omega or like an Adam Page. If they're not going to WWE because they don't want to, how much more? Like Adam Page, if he can't compete for the world title, how much more can he fucking do in AEW? I mean, he can only challenge for the trios titles or the fucking Continental title so many times before you get into Cody Rhodes territory too.
I mean, those are just stupid booking decisions. Like, why would you book yourself into pigeonhole yourself? It's just dumb. It's just dumb when Cody did it.
Yeah, no, it was dumb then. It's still stupid now. Maybe they have an out clause for it, but then just don't do it in the first place. The Divine Dominion defended the AEW Women's World Tag Titles against the Brawling Birds. Eric thinks that Jamie Hayter should leave because he doesn't think that Jamie's probably going to win another title. I think she's winning here. They're from London.
I think she's winning here. The Brits with the tits, they're going to win right here. So
yeah, the Brits with the tits. One of the tag titles, I think here. I mean, if he does, I don't see her winning another singles title probably anytime soon. I just don't think they see her at that level anymore. Unfortunately, she's kind of fallen off. But no, I think we both can come to the conclusion they're winning the tag titles here, right?
Yeah, easily. I mean, her fall needs to be studied, though. I need like a thesis study on that.
I agree. I don't know what happened there in the last few years. I know she's gotten injured, but that's not an excuse for some of the bad booking with her, or just not.
I mean, remember that match when Britt Baker put her over? Oh, wait, I forgot that never happened.
And we haven't seen Britt Baker on the show since. Just bring her in to put these people over. If you don't want to use her, fine, but use her, but just put people over. It's like, whatever, dude. And Richie also asked, do we think MJF suffers the good old name change gimmick if it jumps to WWE? I don't think so. No, I think it would be MJF. I think he would be safe from that, thankfully. John Moxley and Nigel McGuinness for the AEW Continental title. Again, they've been spending all this time on this tournament as opposed to telling like a real bad blood feud between them, story with them. I think Nigel's going to win. Moxley's been champion all year, but Nigel, I don't know what the fucking long-term vision is with him. He's older, but he's from England, and I think that they like their moments too. I think Nigel will go over here and become champion. What do you think?
I guess my thing is is he like a full he's not full time he's a
not to my knowledge,
right?
No, I think he's just a commentator. Yeah.
So what's he? I mean,
it's just for the moment, really. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, I don't know. Can't you just have him look good in defeat and lose? I mean,
no,
I'm not the biggest Moxley guy, but I'm just thinking
yeah.
So he's gonna win this thing and just drop yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of silly, but that's if all this beat Gunther, not needed. It's cool.
Yeah.
He's back in the ring in his hometown, But at the end of the day, Moxley should win. I'm gonna go with Moxley. I know they like their moments. I know Tony puts you over in your hometown, but we got the Birds winning already. Osprey's probably winning, so we can have one England or lose. So I'm gonna go with Moxley.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Kevin Knight and Darby Allin Falls Count Anywhere match for the TNT title. Kevin Knight defending. They already had him beat Darby. I think the week after we were at Dynamite was when they did that match. I think Kevin Knight retains here. I think Darby Allin, takes the title. What do you think?
Jesus, title change history over here. I guess I like Kevin Knight. I feel like he probably should hold on a little bit longer. I feel like he just won the belt within the last few months. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kevin Knight. Okay. We don't need every title changing hands there.
All right. I would like that. He won it in April. He's had a lot of defenses, though, so if he does lose it, I'd be fine with it. But Darby Allin doesn't need it for a fucking fourth time. I'm just thinking they want the happy ending there. But no, I would like Kevin to retain, but I think Darby takes the title, which would be a fine moment. Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita, and Okada for the AEW International title. Fletcher just won it from Takeshita a month ago, and Takeshita had just won it from Okada in May. So this is one where I would have Fletcher retain because he just won it. I could see Takeshita winning it back. Okay. I'm going to say Fletcher retains. What do you think?
I'm going to say Fletcher retains, though.
Yeah, it's probably the safe choice. Cage and Cope defending the World Tag Team titles against the Young Bucks. Who do you think goes over in this one?
Does it really matter at the end of the day?
Probably the Bucks, right?
I guess. I don't want to say it. I can't stand them. But at this point, I guess they're winning the titles again. What are we doing at this point?
I know.
They're probably going to win the titles eventually do the New Day match 10 years too late. Yeah, I'll say the Young Bucks just because of that reason.
All right, yeah, no, I don't know how long. I mean, Cage and Cope, I like them, but they were always going to be champions for a limited time. And they've held the belt since May, so I think they'll lose it here. Put over the Young Bucks, the young team of the Young Bucks, who are also in their early
Who are like
40s.
I was gonna say who are as old as the Edge and as Cope and Christian are.
Not
basically.
quite, but they're up there. They're not exactly young. They're definitely over 40 at this point, so yeah, for sure. Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné for the AEW Women's World Title. We've talked about this for weeks now. Willow just won the belt a month ago from Tekla, who I don't think has been on the show since she lost the belt, which is wild to me. And Mercedes Moné, like, she's already gotten 2 opportunities at the top title in the last year, including it all in last year that she's lost. It's kind of a must-win for both women. I still feel like they're going to have Mercedes win. I would prefer Willow to retain, but I think Mercedes is going to take the title here. What do you think?
I just feel like you kind of hit the nail there. I feel like they both need a win. I mean, if you if you think Mercedes what you think she is, she has to win, right? Like, she's lost every time she's gone for the title. She had like fucking 20 belts. She can never win the big one.
Yeah.
And she's like, is she going to lose again? I mean, I guess she could, but then it's like, what was the whole point of like, now looking back at it now, what was the whole point of building up as the belt collector when she didn't win the big one and then nothing came out of it? She just lost all the belts. I guess she's getting another title shot here, but like if she loses again, then what? She has to win, I think.
I think, yeah. But then Willow, though, she also had her TBS title. I mean, she did she win that back?
Willow can afford to lose.
More than Mercedes, you're saying?
At this point, I would say so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Mercedes already beat her for that title after Willow. Like, she ended her reign in a month a few years ago. They're just going to do it again, I guess. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's a lose-lose. It's weird.
It is a lose-lose, but I think if Mercedes loses again, people will be like, what are we doing? Like, what's the whole point? Like,
I agree.
what's the whole point of her there? She's not going to win the main title. She's not going to go for the TBS champ again. Then what does she do?
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, Willow can always get the belt back, and at least she's won it. Mercedes hasn't won it yet, and she can't keep challenging and losing. It's like, what are we doing?
I mean, I guess, like, if Willow's never beat Mercedes, Mercedes can beat her again here, and then you can play out the story. Oh, Mercedes, like, eventually, Mercedes champion. Oh, Willow gets a title shot, and she's like, if you never beat me, you never will. And then that's when Willow gets her big moment of beating Mercedes.
That would make sense, but then Willow beat her back in, like, at the end of the year last year. So they've both beaten each other.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's a lose-lose. It's tough. But you say Mercedes, right?
Yeah, I think she has to win.
Okay. Yeah, I thought she was going to win last year against Toni Storm, but I guess she didn't, trim her bushes, bitches, because she didn't go all out, I guess. I don't know. And then she failed to win the title. But no, trim your bush this weekend and you'll probably win the championship. Is that the key to victory?
Yes, it is.
Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay for the AEW World Championship. I mean, this is it. I mean, there's really not much more to say about this. Ospreay's got to win. I mean, he's been in the company now for a few years and has yet to win the top title, which is fine. I think this makes sense, though. Omega just won it. I get it, but Ospreay, he's got to win. I mean, he has to win. If this is the main event, it should be a very good match. Ospreay's got to win the championship. Is there any other outcome here that you think makes sense?
No, it's Ospreay's gonna win. He'll kick out the winged angel. All the fucking people will go crazy. Act like it's a surprising happening. Even though everyone and their brother can figure out that's gonna happen, he'll win. They'll make out after, and Ospreay will be the new guy. I mean, I could be in the basement with the lights off, and I could tell you that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's definitely probably what's going to happen. And sometimes predictability isn't a bad thing. That's exactly what I would do as well. And I think that's the correct outcome. I think having Omega retain shockingly and having to just end the show there would just be fucking stupid. It's like when Brock beat Roman at 34, which was a nice surprise, but it's not like Roman didn't eventually beat Brock down the road. They were just delaying the inevitable. So completely agree there. Thank you guys for tuning into WrestleRant Radio here today for August 27th, 2026. We could talk a little all in next week, depending on what happens, and all the rest of the fallout in the world of wrestling going on at the time. New episodes every Thursday, WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, all major podcast platforms for the audio version, also here on YouTube for the video version. Shout out to the channel members Alexis Missmon Matthews, Dylan Giacomo, Mrs. Bernay, Daniel Malcolm, Adam Quarter on X, DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau at RJ_Marceau on X. John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland on YouTube. Richie, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube. Bill Meister and Average Grunt at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. Like the video on your way out, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in here today, liking, commenting, sharing your comments and questions earlier. That was great. Appreciate you guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, and we'll be back next Thursday with another all-new episode. Mr. Marceau, safe travels to All In this weekend. I hope I don't see you in catering. I expect to see you inside the ring at Wembley Stadium.
You'll see, man.
I look forward to it, brother. And safe travels. Everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll get you right back here on the show next week. Until then, I'm Graham G.C. Matthews for Mr. Marceau. Catch you next week. Peace.
Join Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.